The Freemasonry Movement. By Muhammad Safwat as-Sak Amini and Saadi Abu Habib. Translation Raktab Rabita Jakarta. Published by Rabita Alam Islami. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Preface word. The reality that we face in the Islamic world today is certainly bitter. It is so bitter that it cannot be described in words or illustrated by the stroke of a pen. This fact is beyond doubt and beyond dispute. Today, we are reaping the bitter fruit produced by the seeds that have been planted in Islamic society by the enemies of Allah, the enemies of Islam and the Muslims. In order to wake up and rise again, the first step is to awaken those who are asleep amongst us. To wake up after having fallen asleep for so long and so soundly. This we can only do if we can show them the poisonous seeds that have been planted by sin-stained hands, seeds that have been caressed by malicious hearts, seeds that have always been fertilized and watered with the blood of deceit, treason, misguidance, and misleading. One of these seeds is Freemasonry, into which a number of Muslim world leaders have fallen. This movement has a veneer of respectability, such as the mottos of humanity, brotherhood, cooperation, freedom, and other laudable traits. It is this veil that has covered its satanic face and veiled its poisonous eyes, full of disbelief and atheism. Although many books have been written and many words spoken about Freemasonry, we are convinced that they have done very little to quench our thirst. With the help and guidance of Allah, in this book, we intend to participate in uncovering some of the secrets of Freemasonry, exposing the veils it uses, so that it can appear in its true form before Muslim readers, so that readers are fully aware of its situation, become alert to its intended evil, and are also aware of the various forms of treason, deceit and betrayal that have been planned around it. In this book, we will use the objective scientific method, starting from a calm and balanced base, abstaining from enthusiasm and emotionally charged sentences that are quickly eroded by the winds of thought, ratio, and reflection. We will make use of meticulous scholarly sources, some of which have not yet come into the hands of the noble scholars who have spoken of Freemasonry before us. Thus, the name of this book is one of the bricks in the Tower of Resurrection, standing alongside its other brethren that have been produced by the hands of those who believe in their Supreme Lord, and believe in the lasting message that has been carried by the noblest of creatures, the seal of the prophets. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. All the effort and time that we have devoted to this book, God knows best. We have made it our deposit with Allah the Great, as our provision for the day when wealth and children will be of no use, except to those who come to Allah with a perfect heart. If we could ask our beloved readers to forgive us for any shortcomings that may be found in this book, and if we could sincerely pray that this book would be of benefit to everyone who reads it, and that everyone who passes on the facts contained in this book to his brothers, relatives, close friends and everyone with whom he comes in contact, then it is certain that our wish would be granted and accepted. And this situation will help us to overcome the fatigue caused by the work in the scientific field, and that arises from serious and constant research. God will guide us to the right path. Mecca al-Mukarramah, December 1978 AD, 10 Muharram 1399 AH. Name and history. Name. The name of the society, Freemasonry, is a name that everyone knows, as the movement is known throughout the world. Meaning of the name. From a linguistic point of view, this name consists of three parts. A free, meaning free, not bound by anything. B mason, meaning work in general, and also the work of building stone houses. C rai, denoting a position or occupation. So literally, the name means Society of Freemason, in the sense that they are not bound by any ties. Among themselves, there is a relationship of brotherhood that binds and unites them, hence each member calls another member brother. This call is a sign for each member at every meeting. The secret of Freemasonry around the world. You may ask when the Freemasonry movement was born, and also about the historical days in its history throughout time. Its birth. Regarding its birth, The birth certificate is filled with letters and numbers that have been erased, filled with obscure secret signs. And in the margins there are notes full of fables. Because of this, those who read the birth certificate disagree about the exact date of his birth. A. First opinion. Some scholars are of the opinion that the movement was born when Moses alayhi salam and his people were wandering in the Sinai desert. In the documents of the Egyptian National Assembly of the old free builders accepted in Egypt and in the Arab countries, we find Freemasonry broadcast No. 1, which has the year 5969, that is the year of light, dating it according to the terms they use from 40 centuries before the birth of Isa alayhi salam. B. Second opinion. Some scholars are of the opinion that the first founder of the Freemasonry movement was Herod II, who was the ruler of Beit el-Maqdis on the part of the Roman Empire. This movement was founded in Beit el-Maqdis together with his Jewish advisors Aharim Abiyad and Mov Levi. The secret society he founded was called Hidden Power. Its purpose was to oppose the call of Isa al-Masih alayhi salam. In addition, he foresaw the disappearance of the Temple of Solomon, so that none of its stones would be connected to another stone. Included in its aims was also to oppress any person or group who believed in the messenger, and to expel them. The society has a secret council of 9 members, headed by 3. The council held its first session on October 10, 1943, in a place they called the Temple. They took very solemn oaths to keep their affairs secret, and that they would cooperate very closely among themselves, each member to carry out every task the council assigned him. Whoever deviates from the above stipulations, the reward is death, without pity of or help. The society calls its temple the Great Eastern Star, from which are derived the temples in Palestine and outside Palestine. The number of their temples in Palestine is 40, which include government officials and their henchmen, as well as sycophants consisting of people who are weak in faith. The Temple of Rome in the center of the empire was its most famous temple at that time. This secret power moved under the banner of power. It roamed the Holy Lands, killing the followers of the apostles whom they could kill. Their most famous sacrifice was St. Peter, who was killed by Nero, instigated by his Jewish wife, Poppaea. C. Third opinion. There are scholars who argue that the birth of this movement is in modern times only. The reason given is that in 12th century England, there was no society called Freemasonry or Free Brothers. There is an old document that confirms that a member of Freemasonry managed to occupy the seat of the English House of Commons, and that was in 1376. The first assembly, at the level of assemblies, the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry in England, the United Grand Lodge, was the first openly held assembly of Freemasonry, founded in 1717, and is still alive today, disseminating its thoughts in a magazine that was born at the same time as the movement, and named with Latin language, Yalt Ors Barter Connortum. The first time the name Freemasonry was echoed, Dr. Muhammad Ali Az-Zubi argues that the secret power, at the London meeting chaired by Anderson in 1717, had adopted the new name Freemasonry. Other researchers argue that this name was already used by Code Freudi Buyaler. This birth should be researched. In fact, this issue needs to be researched and traced further, especially at this time when previously unknown sources have become known. Our opinion. We are of the opinion that the reason why the letters on his birth certificate were removed was due to a very important matter. That is, researchers into the history of Freemasonry have concentrated all their energies on one aspect of the subject. They have only researched an organization called Freemasonry when it was born in history. One James Anderson, 16801739, was born in Scotland, entered the clergy, and eventually headed a church in London. In 1910, he is the author of The Law, the oldest book on Freemasonry. This book was first printed in London in 1723. It is said that Anderson was of Jewish origin, or he was a Christian who converted to Judaism. 2. He was born in 1061 and died in 1100 by the Crusada people. In 1099, He was appointed Raya of Jerusalem after the success of the first campaign. He took for himself the title Guardian of the Tomb of Jesus. This man had a very high status in Freemasonry. His name appears in special records called the Records of the 13th Block, or our records. 3 in the reference census of the famous German bibliographer, August Welfesichel, where we find 30,000 books and documents of Freemasonry. In the library of the Supreme Council of Freemasonry in the Netherlands, there is a valuable collection of Freemasonry books collected by the historian George Claus. Under the title Geschichte der Freemasonry in England, Ireland, Holland, Leipzig, 1847. This collection of books is the main source for those conducting research into the Freemasonry movement. The library of the Freemasonry has 2 parts, one that only Freemasons can enter, and one that is open to everyone. The library of the General Council of Freemasonry in England is covered by total secrecy. While in studies such as these which concern secret organizations, our scientific point of departure must be to study their principles. We cannot simply take shelter in the shade of comforting names. There are so many glittering names. Books that have beautiful titles and attractive forms. But each of them contains a poison that kills and a sudden death. This must be realized by everyone who wants to do serious research on secret movements in history. Freemasonry appears under various names. The Freemasonry that we study today is a most convincing proof of the truth of the opinion we have expressed above. If he is in a society which is safe and secure for him, then he declares his name and announces his counsel. But if he sees danger threatening, or if he begins to feel that people are beginning to doubt his conduct and his aims, then he immediately conceals his name and changes the forms of his assemblies, so that he may appear under a new name, new form, and new methods. But the reality remains the same, and the goal remains the same. Hitler closed down all the great Eastern councils in Germany because he felt that they were linked to the Jews, and Freemasonry re-emerged under a new name, namely, German Cavalry Club. When Freemasonry felt that some thinkers in various parts of the world were beginning to warn their respective nations about the dangers posed by Freemasonry, it suddenly appeared under various borrowed names such as Rotary, Lions, B'nai B'rith Club, and others. But, however, names and births are only important to us as long as they are within the limits of what has been stated above. What is important for us is to establish a fact on which we must not slip. That is, that this being of uncertain birth, whose date has been erased, this chameleon who can wear 1,000 colors, has been able to control the destiny of the world, both in the East and in the West. Who of the thinking people can avoid this fact? Glossary. 1. Rotary Club is an organization of businessmen and experts founded by legal scholar Paul P. Harris in February 1905. In the American city of Chicago, these clubs have spread all over the world. All of these clubs are governed by an association called International Rotary Clubs.